Okay, Solid 2 folks, let's start the second part of this Let's Play, and this is going to be much longer than the first section, and we are beginning the plant. So let's find out what happened after the tanker sunk. So you'll remember Liquid, or Ocelot, whoever it was, got away with Metal Gear, and Snake was swept under the waves.
Snake, do you remember the sinking of that tanker 2 years ago?
Of course.
Terrorists blow a hole in an oil tanker full of crude barely 20 miles off the shore of Manhattan. Your classic nightmare. It didn't take long.
Now Snake's voice seems to have changed there.
And then that massive offshore cleanup facility went up inside.
The big shell. I hear the cleanup isn't quite over yet.
It takes time. But in the meantime, the shell's become a landmark, a symbol of environmental protection.
Calling teams Alpha and Bravo. Deploy at the big shell as scheduled.
Approximately 6 hours ago, the big shell was seized by an armed group.
Do we have an ID?
Former members of the Navy SEAL Special Anti-Terrorist Training Squad Dead Cell. Russian private army members may also be involved. It's a highly trained group and they have the big shell under complete control.
Oh dear, more terrorists. Well, I suppose it'd be a pretty boring game if there weren't any terrorists, so we shouldn't be too surprised. Aha!
Come in from downwind and pull up fast. Get ready to fast rope down to Shell 1. 5 minutes to ETA. Also, your top priority is to rescue and safeguard the President. Team Bravo, watch out for Stillman's back and get those C4s disarmed.
What are their demands?
$30 billion.
$30 billion? What makes them think they can get that much?
There was a government-sponsored tour going on at the big shell that day.
Hostages, huh?
A VIP from one of the major conservation groups, and one from our own government. The most important person in a sense.
The most important person?
James Johnson.
The president?
Unless
Oops.
the demands are met, the terrorists intend to blow the big shell out of the water.
And the crude will ignite, turning the Manhattan harbor into an inferno.
That's not the worst-case scenario. If the chlorides being used to decontaminate the seawater go up with the oil, toxins containing catastrophic levels of dioxins will be released. In other words, the bay's ecosystem will be wiped out, and the sea will turn into a toxic soup for centuries, becoming the worst environmental disaster in history.
Well, let's avoid that, shall we? And it's good to have the Colonel back from MGS1.
1. Infiltrate the offshore decontamination facility Big Shell and safeguard the president and other hostages. And 2. Disarm the terrorists by any means necessary.
Here we are. It's not Bioshock.
You should know that SEAL Team 10 is also conducting a rescue operation.
Is this a joint effort?
No. Foxhound remains a covert body. Don't alert them to your presence. That is an order.
Ah, so we're a member of Foxhound again. You'll remember Snake was a member of Philanthropy, not
This
Foxhound.
is Snake. I'm now inside strut A of Shell 1.
How are things?
We're in luck. Looks like there are no sentries posted here.
What's the visibility?
The lights on the plant struts are functioning. I won't have to use the IR goggles.
Any problems?
There was a brand new hole cut through the oil fence. There's someone else besides me that wanted to get in badly.
Ooh.
That's not possible.
What about SEAL Team 10?
They landed on the roof of the big shell as planned. And by the way, Snake, we're changing your code name for all following communication.
What's wrong with Snake?
Just a precaution. You are now designated Raiden. All right, Raiden. You've already covered infiltration and VR training.
I've completed 300 missions in VR. I feel like some kind of legendary mercenary.
Okay, we'll skip that.
He's a little bit big-headed, isn't he?
Make sure nobody sees you. If you need to, contact me by codec. The frequency is 140.85. When you want to use the codec, push the select button.
We know the drill, Colonel.
Contact you. The codec will beep. When you hear that noise, press the select button. The codec's receiver directly stimulates the small bones of your ear. No one but you will be able to hear it.
All right. I'll contact you if anything changes.
First, make your way to the upper section of the big shell.
How do I get up to the next level?
There's an elevator at the far end of that area. Use that.
Sounds good.
Your new sneaking suit uses electrofiber technology, a byproduct of fiber optics research. The texture isn't far removed from rubber, but the material protects against a wide range of toxic substances. The suit itself has a wide array of built-in sensors. It is referred to as smart skin in military R&D.
Doesn't leave much up to the imagination, does it? It's a bit form-fitting. Don't think I'd like to wear anything like that.
Nanomachines to create a feedback system.
There's a lot of pressure on my torso.
Relax. The suit applies varying pressure to major internal organs to maximize performance and safeguard their functions. They call this the skull suit in Foxhound.
Skull suit seems appropriate somehow.
Very odd looking. I've always thought with that mask on, he looks a bit like Psycho Mantis from MGS1.
The handle will open into the elevator area. Locate the hatch first.
Copy that. Moving on to main mission objectives.
Right then, here we go. So here begins the second part of the game, and probably the main part as we enter the big shell. Now this is a containment facility that was actually set up on the over the site where the tanker was destroyed. Now I'm sure there was a ration in the water. I can't seem to see it. So, interesting bit of trivia actually. In the original design document of the game, the tanker section was actually going to take place on an aircraft carrier, and they were thinking about actually having more of a threat in the Middle East. But they actually had to change quite a lot of the focus on this game because of the time it was created. It was being developed around sort of 2001, where obviously there were the 9/11 terrorist attacks, so they had to be very sensitive to the current political climate and things like that, and it did actually end up changing quite a few things in the game, including obviously the war in Iraq, and all the conflict in the Middle East actually convinced them to change where it was going to take place. Now this is a really interesting bit of trivia. If you see there, you can maybe just make it out, that actually says Metal Gear 2 Guns of Patriots, which is obviously Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots is the name of the fourth Metal Gear game. Now I'm not sure whether that does appear. Oh, now what's happened to this guard? I'm not sure whether that text appears in the original MGS2 or whether that's some sort of strange Easter egg they've put into this one. But I noticed it again when I played the HD collection. I was just really surprised that it was there.
Colonel, I've sighted an enemy sentry. AN-94 and a Makarov. Those grenades, all his equipment, is Russian-made.
Must be a Gerlukovich man.
Gerlukovich?
A Russian private army that was in line to work with the Shadow Moses takeover group 4 years ago.
What's their stake in this one?
They must have made a deal, an arrangement with the terrorists.
So despite Gerlukovich being dead,
an army without a country,
they still seem to be operating. But a few guards are no match for us. As a trained Foxhound agent. Now who's that heading up in the lift? Looks familiar.
Colonel, there's definitely another intruder in here besides me.
That's not a possibility.
Not a team. Looks like a solo job.
One man.
We may not know who he is, but he managed to take care of every sentry in the area. They're all out cold. Whoever he is, he's got some skills.
We
Mad
need to
skills,
get an
yo.
ID. But for now, you can take advantage of the situation and get to work. There's a terminal in front of the elevator. A node.
Did you say nerd?
Not nerd. Node.
It's such a bizarre piece of
Use
dialogue.
the node to gain access to the Big Shell's facilities network.
Then what?
Pull up the map of the structure. That'll let you activate the Soliton radar.
The Soliton radar? True.
Metal
That radar
Gear.
came in useful during VR training.
A radar system uses biological magnetic fields as input. These estimated enemy positions are projected onto a map according to reference points collected via GPS signals and field personnel reports. We need to get to the map through the Big Shell's node to put this data processing to practical use. The node unit is about 3 feet high, should be colored blue. Each area has at least one.
How do I gain access?
Just push the action button in front of
Right,
the
so
node.
the TLDR of this is basically there's going to be these little computers in every there's going to be computers in every area, and in this game we actually have to activate the map ourselves rather than just having it automatically on the whole time like on MGS1. So it's quite interesting because as you go into new areas, you're pretty blind in terms of you know, your surroundings, and you don't get the fields of the cones of vision and stuff for the guards and their patrol routes until you've activated these nodes. So it's like a little added challenge element to the game. It makes each new area just that little bit more challenging because you don't know quite what it is you're going to walk into. And it was probably a bad idea to touch that while soaking wet. Dearie me, silly Raiden. And one of the cool things is here, you can actually sort of log in. You make like a little ID for yourself, so as long as there's enough letters for it. There we go. LazierBandit. Am I going to bother putting my birthday in? Well, for some reason it won't let me put in my actual age, so okay. Okay, and it's an American one, so the 8th of April. And I'm from the UK. So this now will give us the node, and it also lets us configure a few of the different options and things like that. But we've got that all set up already. Okay, Colonel, what do you want now?
The radar should be functioning now.
Remember your VR training sessions. The tool is exactly the same one. It maps the terrain as well as the position of enemy personnel.
And you might notice I'm sort of fiddling around as I watch these cutscenes. You can actually move the characters by using the thumbstick, so like make them dance and zoom in really close.
Your radar isn't affected by the weather, but if you're discovered by an enemy, you won't be able to use it.
It's a pretty bizarre function, but I guess if they were going to make these 3D cutscenes, they might as well let us do something with them.
Technology. You won't be able to use
And we
it in
can
an area
also
with
actually,
strong harmonic
we can
resonance,
make
so
Raiden
be
react
careful.
to things that are being said.
The Big Shell's layout map should now be available.
Like, you
after
might have
touching
just
the
been able to
start
hear that.
button.
How do I save the mission data?
I've set aside a proprietary frequency for saves, and an analyst to work on the data too.
Who could the analyst be?
Jack, is everything all right?
What are you doing here?
Jack, can you hear me?
Rose, you're not supposed to be involved. What's going on?
Jack, I'm a part of this mission.
Colonel, what the hell is going on?
Raiden, meet the mission analyst. She'll be overseeing the data saving and support.
Why her?
The Foxhound analyst that was supposed to take part in this mission was in an accident. Rosemary was brought in as a replacement.
An accident?
And according to the files, she knows you better than anybody else.
Well, you
Rose
could
may
say
be in
that,
the service, but an
considering who she
intelligence
is.
analyst no field officer.
Not to worry. She has our technical staff at her disposal.
She's never been a part of a field mission. This is insane.
I have my own reasons for selecting her for this mission, soldier.
Colonel, I fail to see...
I know your VR training performance in and out, but sometimes that's not enough. You're familiar with the Shadow Moses incident?
You know I covered it in VR.
If there's a crucial tactical detail that case taught us, it was the power of the operative's will to survive.
I was trained to fight. My personal feelings have no place in a mission.
We've learned that it doesn't work that way. And on the field, you need all the help you can get.
Jack, you're stuck with me whether you like it or not.
Rose.
You need someone to watch your back.
Jack and Rose, it's all a bit
But I have
Titanic up in here.
conditions that need to be met, Colonel.
What is it?
I'll perform my duties and save that mission data, but I'm aware that technically I'm not part of the mission control team. After all, I'm just a normal girl who's worried about Jack. But that means, Colonel, that I am not required to follow your orders outside of my immediate duties. Jack is not simply a field personnel for me to track. His safety comes first to me, not the mission. And because of that, I will be monitoring and keeping a record of every communication you have with him, Colonel.
Given the
She's
circumstances,
basically
you're
the
free to do what
over-attached
you see fit.
girlfriend.
Hey,
I will be listening to all of your codec conversations and reading
I'd like
all
to
of your
make a
text
request,
messages.
If I may.
Of course.
His handle is Raiden. For the duration of the mission, could you call him that?
Yes, sir. All right, Raiden. Let me know when you're ready to turn in a save. The proprietary save frequency is 140.96. I just switched frequencies. Jack,
What?
do you know what day it is tomorrow?
April 30th. Is there something special about it?
Isn't there?
I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Oh well, I'll keep trying till I hear the answer. I'm gonna let you go now, Jack. Take care.
Right, thanks for that. Crikey. Okay, so the guards are waking up. So we're going to just hide ourselves. Yeah, alright, Colonel. Now, maybe one of my criticisms of Metal Gear Solid 2 is that there are far too many compulsory codec conversations.
Until the elevator arrives. You must
Like,
stay out of sight.
I probably could have worked out that I had to hide from the guards. It's Metal Gear Solid. But it's nothing too bad.
I'm under enemy fire. Secure the perimeter.
Okay, so these two guys, they can actually be a little bit difficult, because there's not really anywhere that's a perfect hiding spot. I think this place is as good as any, but we don't have any weapons, so we can't actually we can't stick them up or anything. So we basically need to do it the old-fashioned way, which is going to be sneaking. And I can't actually remember their patrol patterns too well, but we've knocked him out. You can choke guards out and kill them, or you can just sort of like, as you saw then, just do it a little bit and then that'll knock them out. So that's a very useful technique actually if you're going for a no-kills run. Now, I'm trying to remember where you actually get the first gun, and look, that is definitely not Solid Snake.
The name of their leader is Solid Snake.
What?
The hero of Shadow Moses? So that's why you changed my code name.
Right, but he can't be the Solid Snake. He died 2 years ago on that tanker after he blew it sky high.
Could he have survived?
Not a chance.
So now we are playing as Raiden. So yeah, as I say, I can't actually remember where I get my first gun, which is a bit worrying, because I'd like to get that as soon as I can.
On the roof, there are no sentries, but it would only take one to spot me in this light.
You never had daylight VR training after all. Stay extra sharp and
Oh dear, I love that.
to log in from.
What about the commandos?
SEAL Team 10 has landed on struts B and C.
And the president?
Seems he was spotted on strut B.
Strut B?
How on earth? Right, so he's meant to be this like hardened, military trained virtual reality commando, but they're like, ah shit, we never loaded the daylight training, he's going to be useless.
Central core and 6 struts surrounding it.
So the whole thing is shaped like 2 hexagons connected end on end.
Exactly. And you're on the roof of Strut A, Shell 1 at the moment. First, get to a node. Log into the network.
Got it.
And so begins, in earnest, our adventure. Let's just grab a couple of things up here. So there's a bandage, and I believe that's all there is up here. There's an M9 bullets. Does that mean we could have picked up the M9 by now? Can't remember. Oh, and I will show you one cool thing just before we wrap up this video. You'll notice there are a lot of birds around. And as everyone knows, birds poop. And there's a lot of it here on the floor, and... oh my god! Ugh. Raiden is the world's clumsiest foxhound operative. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for joining me. We'll be back soon with more Metal Gear Solid 2 as we head through the big shell to try and rescue the President of America and stop the terrorists. Thank you very much for joining me. I've been LazierBandit. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'd really appreciate all your support, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.